Modern artificial intelligence is a physical industry. Training the world's largest models requires massive data centers packed with specialized, high-density chips. And today, almost every single one of those chips carries the Nvidia logo. But the absolute reliance on that single brand is fracturing. Meta is currently reevaluating its infrastructure needs and is increasingly looking toward Google's specialized hardware to power its next generation of models. This pressure is already hitting Nvidia's bottom line. OpenAI, a company completely dependent on Nvidia's hardware, recently secured a 30. To defend it, Jensen Huang is facing a challenger that is weaponizing the same survival strategy Nvidia used decades ago, taking a piece of software that was considered unusable and forcing it to become the industry standard. In the early 2000s, Nvidia was on the brink of collapse with barely $3 million left in the bank. The situation was so dire that Sega canceled its contract to use Nvidia chips in the successor of the Saturn console. They only survived by winning a last-minute contract to manufacture chips for the first Xbox and securing a deal to control 85. This was a dedicated language designed to let programmers control graphics cards directly, making it much easier to use the hardware for things other than video games. It was an expensive, risky gamble. The first CUDA integrated chip took 4 times longer than usual to develop, and as the 2008 financial crisis hit, Nvidia's stock price plummeted by more than 80%. Even when it was finished, CUDA was a failure. Programming for it remained a nightmare. Nvidia responded by giving away free GPUs to universities and building its own coding boot camps to teach the world how to use its product. This strategy worked. CUDA became Nvidia's main competitive advantage, creating a software lock-in that forced the market to stay on their hardware because their engineers already knew the language. Shift forward to 2025, and Google is attempting the exact same pivot. They have spent over a decade quietly designing their own chips from scratch, specifically to run AI workloads. While Nvidia adapts chips originally designed for gaming, Google's Tensor Processing Units, or TPUs, are built strictly for AI. Google is now matching Nvidia's pace. In the past, Google took 2 years to catch up to Nvidia's latest hardware. Today, Google releases comparable products in less than 6 months. Because Google's chips are purpose-built, they operate much closer to their full theoretical performance. For every teraflop of AI training, Google's chips are effectively half as expensive as Nvidia's. Google also leads in bandwidth, the number of lanes on the digital highway. They offer a full terabyte per second at less than half of Nvidia's price point. Directly, Google has engineered a faster, cheaper engine that is more efficient at the specific mathematical operations that modern AI models require. If Google's hardware is more efficient, the industry should have transitioned years ago. But Google faces the same problem Nvidia once did. Their software is notoriously complex and hard for anyone outside of Google to use. They lack the CUDA ecosystem. For a standard engineer, programming for a TPU is significantly more difficult than programming for an Nvidia chip. Google is now trying to bridge that gap by integrating with PyTorch, the dominant tool used by AI developers. At the same time, coding assistants like Claude are now capable of writing the complex translation code that previously required a Google engineer. The very AI models that Nvidia's hardware helped create are now being used to write the code that makes Nvidia's software moat irrelevant. This isn't the end for Nvidia. Jensen Huang is well aware of how quickly a lead can vanish, which is why he aggressively releases low-end graphics cards to cover every possible segment of the market. Leaving even a small gap in the market is an invitation for a competitor to establish a foothold and grow. Despite these defenses, Nvidia's unprecedented profit margins will drop as Google scales. No company maintains a near-total monopoly for long once a viable, cheaper alternative reaches mass production. We are only in the first minute of the AI race. The total market for this hardware is still expanding rapidly, and there is more than enough room for both players to grow. Nvidia's period of absolute market control is shifting toward a landscape of intense, cutthroat competition, a transition that ultimately makes AI development cheaper, faster, and more accessible for everyone. In a gold rush, the profit belongs to those selling the picks and shovels. In the AI industry, Nvidia provides the compute infrastructure that every developer requires to stay competitive. This chart tracks Nvidia's trajectory over 20 years, showing consistent 33.4% annual market returns through 2024. Its valuation now exceeds the entire economic output of Spain for 2 consecutive years. External market shocks have failed to slow this momentum. When trade restrictions threatened to cut off the Chinese market, Nvidia absorbed the loss and maintained double-digit growth. It also weathered software-side threats from firms like DeepSeek, which promised high-tier intelligence at a fraction of the hardware cost. That panic faded as it became clear that high-end models still require massive physical scale. Nvidia currently functions as a fortress, seemingly immune to foreign competition, regulation, and software efficiency trends. Yet, the first breach in their defensive moat has appeared. This threat originated within Silicon Valley, inside Nvidia's own ecosystem. Anthropic's Claude 4.5 Opus and Google's Gemini 3 are currently routing data through Google's TPUs and Amazon's Trainium hardware. They are scaling the world's most advanced AI models without relying on Nvidia chips. The cutting edge of AI software is proving it can function independently of Jensen Huang's hardware. The launch of Claude Mythos confirms that superior intelligence still demands raw compute power. This chart tracks the financial bottleneck. Running Mythos costs $125 per million tokens, a 5-fold increase. This pricing structure locks the model away from the general public. Mass rollout is impossible as long as developers are constrained by generalized hardware. To bypass this cost, software developers are partnering with hyperscalers like Google to build custom, vertically integrated infrastructure. The hunger for compute is forcing software companies to engineer their own silicon, moving Nvidia out of the future supply chain. In 1993, Nvidia was a startup with a radically advanced vision and very little market share. Co-founder Curtis Prame designed a dedicated 3D graphics chip to act as a second brain for the computer, multiplying its power. Jensen Huang served as the link between this engineering and the semiconductor manufacturing needed to produce it. Nvidia focused on the future of 3D graphics, but the consumer market was obsessed with the 2D game Doom. Because the chips were built for 3D, Doom was nearly unplayable on them. Customers returned the carts. When memory prices also collapsed, Nvidia's technical advantages disappeared, leaving the company 9 months from bankruptcy. Superior hardware provides no protection if it fails to align with the software the ecosystem actually uses. In 2024, Nvidia occupies the opposite side of that 1993 dynamic. The company has become the hardware incumbent, defending a specific architectural legacy. Today, Anthropic, Meta, and Google are the agile forces. They are searching for ways to leave the incumbent's hardware behind to solve their own cost problems. Nvidia's multi-trillion-dollar market cap currently commands the stock exchange, but the foundational cracks in their monopoly are becoming visible. Monopolies rarely collapse because a rival builds a slightly better version of the same product. The true threat to the company is a software ecosystem engineering a future where Nvidia is no longer a requirement.